All right, everybody, what's going on? What's going on? All right. And so, one of the things that we are going to be focusing on for today is about the weather station model. Now, in particular, I'm going to be focusing on the barometric trend and the barometric pressure. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is because if you take a look, the number at the barometric trend is a different number than when we take it outside of the reference tables, right? We see plus 19 as a barometric trend. However, it's telling us that 1.9 millibars rises in the past 3 hours. So here, all you're doing is just adding a decimal in between the two numbers when you want to take it out of the weather station model. However, for barometric pressure, it's a little bit different. We see how it says 196 inside the weather station model, but if we were to ask about what is the actual air pressure, we would, looking at this weather station model, we would write 1019.6, right? If we were taking it out. How did they get from 196 in the weather station model to 1019.6 millibars, taking it outside the weather station model? That is what we're going to be focusing on for today. All right. So if we can go to the sheet right over here. And so this sheet, it tells us you can pause and you can read it yourself. And I'll just zoom in so that way. All right. So air pressure, when recording air pressure out of a station model, use the following rule. If the air pressure on the weather station model is 500 or more, add a 9 in front of the number. Also put a decimal point behind the last number. For example, if we have 588 in the weather station model, is going to convert to 958.8 millibars. All right. So let's take an example of what that actually looks like. Numbers 1 and 2, they give us the numbers when it's inside, the pressure numbers when it's inside of the weather station model, right? So now I'm going to follow the rule, the first rule, right? Actually, the first two rules here to actually get the number in millibars, which is outside. So I'm going to write, right, 204. And it tells me if the air pressure on the station model is less than 500, add a 10. So what am I going to do? I'm going to put a different number, a different color. I'm going to add a 10, okay, in front of the number. Then it says put a decimal point behind the last number. So the decimal point behind the last number will be right here, right? Right before the last number. So now what is my answer for 204 when I take it out the weather station model? It's going to be 1,220.4 millibars. That would be my answer. Same thing for number 2. I see 998, but I want to take it outside of the weather station model. So I'm going to write the number, right? 998, and I'm going to do the rule. If the air pressure on the station model is 500 or more, add a 9 in front. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a 9 in front. And it says put a decimal point behind the last number. I guess it should say before, right before the last number. I'll make that change, right? 998, 999.8. And what's my final answer going to be? 999.8 millibars. All right. Now, what happens if they give us, you can double check, and you can pause at any time, you can rewind. Now, let's take a look. What happens if they already give us the weather station model outside in millibars and we got to convert it into the weather station model, right? Well, what does the rule say here? The rule says when putting the air pressure MB back into the weather station model, remove the decimal and the 9 or 10 in front. All right. And so we're going to do that as a practice. All right. So now they give us at location 3, the weather station 3, they recorded 1032.0 millibars. All right. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to follow that same rule. So what did they say to do? They said remove the decimal and remove the 9 or 10 in front. What numbers is left over? I see 320, and so I would write 320 on the weather station model. All right. Let's take a look at number 4. Like I said, you can pause this at any time. You can pause it at any time. All right. Let's take a look at number 4. So number 4, they told us that the air pressure that was recorded is 979.9 millibars. So the rule is remove the decimal and remove the 9 or 10 in front of the number. So the number that's in front is a 9, not a 10, and you write whatever's left over. I see 799. So therefore, I'm going to write 799, and you don't write any units when putting it inside the weather station model. All right. That is all that is there for today. You can repeat this video if you get confused, and have a wonderful day.